my lady. Yeah.
It's a milestone episode for us today, the 20th episode of the MMA Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're really looking forward to the next 20. But on to today's show, we got a lot to talk about. We're expecting Lenny Hart from Pride and 1FC fame, but unfortunately she was under the weather and couldn't make it. But we still got a lot for you. This weekend we have UFC on Fuel Macau, Franklin vs. Lee. Got a few fights we want to break down there. In a week and a half, we have GSP versus Carlos Condit, so kind of want to throw some early thoughts out about that before we break it down next week. It's the beginning of the month, so we got the fights we're pumped for, along with the news. Let's play it out with Smoke Serpent. Shout out to Smoke Serpent, our listeners, as fucking always, you insatiable motherfuckers. Lenny Hart, thanks to her, even though she couldn't come on this week, she says she'll try and make it next week. She actually DM'd me just a little while ago. She's in Tokyo, so even though it's 8 o'clock p.m. here in Chicago, right now it's 11 o'clock a.m. on a Thursday in Tokyo. So she woke up, felt a little under the weather, sent me a DM saying she couldn't make it. Very, very nice woman. We're looking forward to having her on to talk about her calls and her career in the sport. Shout out to MMA Mental. I want to say the second best MMA podcast in the world behind us, of course. Ray and Patrick doing, God, they're doing work with their interviews over there. Jesus Christ, it seems like every week they have like 4 guests. We have 0 today. But they actually had War Machine on, Brian Baker, who are actually going back and forth. Actually, first thing after this podcast, I'm going to go back and listen to that episode of MMA Mental. Yeah, they fucking got War Machine on. He's one of the most talked about fighters of this week, just getting out of jail. Man, they really do an excellent job.
They really do, and much respect to those guys. Ray is a consummate professional, knows his shit. I mean,
you all right?
I'm all right. He knows his stuff so much that he has a ranking system that goes all the way back to the early UFC days. I mean, he is a fanatic. It's really mental. And Patrick obviously is, just a great guy, super nice, great sense of humor. So those guys are really killing it over there.
Patrick's got a giant dong.
And I beat them last week in the Twitter game.
Oh, yeah, we cannot fail to mention Chris holding it down for Team MMA Podcast. If you don't listen to the roundtable shows, you really should. Those are a lot of fun. And our boy Chris Lowe held it the fuck down, getting his first win on the Guess That Tweet show.
Don't ruffle my feathers.
Don't ruffle my feathers.
I'm a fucking warhawk, bro. Let me bang.
Let me bang, bro. And we're actually going to play that clip in a hot second here. Some ridiculous shit going on with the Let Me Bang, bro guy. And yeah, if you would like to call in, join us live. The phone number is 213-457-3380. You can tweet us at the MMA Podcast. As always, I got the feed up, themmapodcast.com. As always, we air every Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, Ustream, and if you want to catch the roundtable, that's going to be every Thursday. It used to be every Monday, but now we're doing it Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. And before we get into that Let Me Bang Bro sound clip, I want to kind of reflect a little bit on that Michael Schiavello interview last week. Jesus Christ, that was, I really hate to favor certain interviews because it's awesome that people take the time out of their day to chat with us. We chatted with Michael for a solid 45 minutes. He talked about everything from his career to K1 to the current state of MMA, and I really think the highlight of the entire interview was him ranting on Jones Sauna and saying it was not about rankings, it was about ratings. Even though I said that totally British and not Australian
British,
whatsoever.
man.
Yeah.
And that is an insult.
It is an insult to Brits and Aussies alike. Go ahead.
I've been listening to Michael Schiavello since, I want to say, late 2008. I watched my first K1. I actually ordered K1 Grand Prix finals in 2008. And, so I've been listening to him commentate almost as long as I've been listening to Joe Rogan commentate. I didn't really get into MMA heavy until early 2008. So it was just an absolute honor and a pleasure for him to come on, and it really made a dream come true. He's a fantastic human being. He knows his shit, and he's actually really funny as well. So that was just a fantastic moment for our podcast. And I think if we can top that, the only way we can do that is by getting Mr. Rogan on.
Yeah, I'm definitely kind of in the same boat there. Mr. Rogan being one of the main reasons both of us got into doing the podcast in the first place, being big fans of his podcast. And we're slowly but surely kind of, skirting around everything Rogan does. We had on an announcer like him in Schiavello. We've had on his good buddy Eddie Bravo. We're having on his friend Joey Coco Diaz in a matter of weeks. I actually just DM'd him. He said he would try and get on in the next few weeks. I'm actually going to see him live at the House of Blues in Chicago tomorrow night with Ari Shafir. So I might kind of, bum me like, hey,
Congrats,
it's Jake.
Man.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah, it was only $20 to see two of my favorite comics. Kind of a steal. But yeah, I'll probably nudge him and be like, hey, I'm from the MMA Podcast. You gonna come on soon? But
hey,
yeah.
So, hey, Joe.
Hey,
over here.
Hey, Joe, you want to give me some weed?
I think you should legitimately try and get him on through his agent, because I know he doesn't really book anything else unless it's through his management. So if
Rogan?
I had to make a recommendation and getting him on, that would be the move.
Yeah, so we'll definitely try. No guarantees, obviously, as he's probably one of the more sought after interviews in the sport. But just for you, our listener, we'll try. Actually, that's bullshit. We would be totally doing that for ourselves, which is really the beautiful thing about this podcast. I mean, we're really glad a lot of people like it. I'm kind of taken aback when I see we're like 30th in professional sports on Podomatic, like 3,000th overall out of 100,000 podcasts.
God, that's so fucking
yeah. It's really nutty, but honestly, we do it because it's fun as fuck. And Chris, you're a good friend of mine. That's fun as shit. Just to kick back and shoot the breeze and hear your opinions on MMA. I'm really enjoying the ride, and it's kind of fitting for our 20th episode. We take a minute to kick back and kind of
enjoy
look
ourselves.
Enjoy
yes.
So all we're gonna do
And I think that it really reflects in our podcast the fact that we are friends. It shows through. We're both knowledgeable, and we can mix in this dirty, filthy humor and quips, but we can actually mix that with our professional interviews, which I'm really proud of, dude. As far as milestones in my life, this podcast is definitely top 5.
Oh, dude, I have said to you before, and I'm not joking. I'm getting a college degree next month. I'm probably more proud of this podcast than I am of my college degree. Just because as far as enjoyment, I'm loving the shit out of this. In college, the stuff around college, the drinking and the chicks and all that bullshit is awesome. But as far as college itself, I like going to sports games, but that's not really a part of the education. So yeah, this episode, we're just going to jerk each other off the entire episode and not talk any MMA.
No, you know what? What else do I like about you? You're just a real lovable dude. Great sense of humor. You're really girthy, so I've heard. I don't know that personally, but super girth.
So much girth.
Super girth.
I'm almost more girthy than I am lengthy, which is impressive. But I'm not very lengthy.
Feat, dude. I don't think you should train MMA. You should train girth.
I train girth, bro. Anyways, we'll move on to mixed martial arts. And before we get into actual MMA news, and we're still kind of joking around and being lighthearted, let me bang, bro. It's a phrase that's been going around the MMA atmosphere because of the most recent Ultimate Fighter clip, and I'm going to play that clip in just a second. You have Julian Lane, who actually was knocked out of the Ultimate Fighter by Bristol Murundi, who we had on a couple weeks ago. and he was drunk, very upset, because obviously in the Ultimate Fighter format, once you're knocked out of the show, you're knocked out for good, and he was very upset he was knocked out, and he was drunk, saying that he wanted to fight, and he was saying, let me bang, bro. And I don't know what was more homoerotic, him saying, let me bang, bro, or Michael Hill, who's hugging him, saying, I'll let you bang, I'm gonna let you bang. Here, this is the unedited clip from the Ultimate Fighter this past week.
Let me bang, man. I want to do that, man. I do. Let me bang. I do let you bang. Hey. Let me bang again, man. I let you bang. I let you bang. Let me bang. Let me bang.
Chris with a fake laughter because he actually can't hear the clip, but it was amazing. Michael Hill going first randomly, it doesn't make sense in context, but Julian Lane going, let me bang, bro, and Michael Hill's like, I do let you bang, and Julian Lane's like, let me bang again, bro. I guarantee it'll be on the next episode of the Soup, hosted by Joel McHale. Fucking dude, hilarious.
To be honest, I really just I kind of dislike Michael Hill more than Julian Lane, because Julian Lane is a guy who I think is just he's too dumb for his own good. Like, that's the problem. He didn't have parents that loved him or pushed him, so he just became a fucking moron. And Michael Hill has not only nipple tats, but I hate his voice. Yeah, dude, he's the most uninteresting douchebag, the kind of guy that, bullied on other people in his life, so fuck that guy.
Indeed, yeah. I don't know what I'm gonna try and stay away from judging guys' personalities, simply because I feel like, you know what, fuck it, we're never gonna have Lane or Hill on. I'm really gonna avoid talking shit about people like UFC fighters and War Machine, because in case we ever get them on, that might be the most awkward shit ever, if they're like, I heard you were talking shit about me. Be like, yeah, moving on. But yeah, fuck it. They aren't gonna let Julian Lane or Michael Hill in the UFC. Michael Hill's your stereotypical yuppie douchebag. Julian Lane just,
trash. He's water trash.
He is water trash. I really kind of find it hard to hate dumb people, because I was raised around so many dumb people growing up in Florida. I'm like, not just dumb, but I'm talking borderline retarded. Like, you really could easily mistake them for being an autistic person. Just, it's kind of more feeling bad for them, for dumb people. For me, what it comes down to is, what do I hate more, a nipple tattoo or a pink mohawk? And pink mohawk is very close, but I gotta give it to nipple tattoo. What the fuck? You have a tattoo of like a sun with like radiating like coronas and whatnot coming off of your nipple? What the fuck is that?
Yeah, I just hate his demeanor. He's the kind of guy that in high school would probably come up to me and lift me up by my ears and go, nerd! You know what I mean? Like,
Doyle rules! Yeah, I'm really looking forward to maybe 20, 30 years down the line. Michael Hill's put on a nice 50, 60 pounds. He's an overweight, 40, 50-year-old guy. And that nipple tattoo still going strong. That is going to be a sight to see. So, for all of our listeners listening, let me bang, bro. And before we move on really quick, I really, truly think that's one of the more dumb moments. There have been violent moments, but as far as just idiotic moments where I look down and shake my head like, God, this is so retarded, that might be toward the top of the list. What is your dumbest moment of the Ultimate Fighter history?
Dumbest moment was when somebody signed the contract for Junie Browning. whoever that was, whether it's Joe Silva or some VP for Spike, getting that guy on the Ultimate Fighter is based solely on ratings. I mean, that dude tried to pick fights with Krzysztof Soshinsky, Ryan Bader. I mean, come on, son. You're really going to pick fights with 205ers when you're a sloppy 155er? I mean, you kind of feel bad for the guy. I mean, he had an episode, the reason he got cut from the UFC is because he was on, I think, like 10 to 15 Xanaxes, went to a hospital and like physically assaulted a couple of nurses. So that dude is a piece of shit.
Those are actually my plans later tonight.
Oh, those are yours?
Yeah.
Oh, nice,
gonna
dude.
pop like a dozen Xannies and go fight some nurses.
Yeah, some nurse is gonna, come in for a normal shift thinking that it's just gonna be same old, but not tonight, sir.
I'm gonna come in and beat the shit out of you like Junie Browning.
And it was. Remember it.
And Ryan Bader literally can bench press a rhinoceros, like I said a few weeks ago on the MMA podcast. Oh, a moose. He can't. A moose is lighter, so he probably could do 24 reps of a moose if he can bench a rhinoceros. Yeah, that was just a stupid moment. Yeah.
Do you know how to say the plural of moose?
Is it my?
It's meese.
Oh, damn it! I was close.
You were close, but you didn't finish.
Definitely, like always. So yeah, let us move on to the news. We have a few topics we want to bring you. A fight announcement, talk about World Series of Fights 1, talk about the beautiful month of Movember. Yeah, let's bring in the news drop, son. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about was a fight announcement made for the Ultimate Fighter Brazil, which, God, I'm so heartbroken. Recently, like within the last week, we found out there's going to be 2 January cards, a January 19th card in Brazil, and a January 26th card in the city I am now, Chicago, about a month after I move away. God damn it, I've still never been to a UFC card. I'm going to make it happen, but really wish I could have gone to that, but unfortunately I don't think I'm still going to be here unless I get some crazy job offer that makes me come back, which is unlikely because I don't really want to work at the place I'm interning.
Because you're coming to Los Angeles, that's why.
If anybody, dude, after the election last night, I might want to come out to Colorado. Prop 64 passing, legalize it.
Yeah, I feel it.
Which I was actually talking about moving to Denver like a couple months ago before I even knew about Prop 64. And the downside, which I guess the upside, or I'll start with the downside, which is when I haven't really told anyone in my family other than my parents that I was thinking about moving out to Denver with a buddy of mine. And when I talked to all my cousins and my grandparents and aunts and uncles over the holidays, yeah, I'm thinking about moving to Denver. They're all going to be like, oh, he's a pothead. He's just moving out there because of the weed. Which I was legit planning on doing this months ahead of time. And the upside being, I guess they'll finally know that I'm a pothead.
Yeah, upside being, you just keep on being yourself.
Yeah. Now, it's kind of like coming out of my weed closet. Now you all know I like to rip the bong hard. Real hard.
And you know what? You're good at it, and I'm proud of you.
They call me Iron Lung. But yeah, let's talk. We'll talk about the Chicago card a little later on in the show, but let's start off with the January 19th card going down in Brazil. Rumored to be a UFC on FX card, which is really cool. I don't know if any of the recent Brazil cards have been non-pay-per-view, so it'll be awesome to give the mainstream viewer kind of a feel of what it's like to see that crazy crowd in Brazil. And it's going to be headlined by Michael Bisping versus Vitor Belfort, and along with the Weidman-Boach fight, are probably the top 2 title contendership fights in the middleweight division. Belfort obviously just fought John Jones. Bisping coming off a win of his own against, who the fuck did Michael Bisping just beat? Chris, the MMA Encyclopedia?
I'll tell you who, Brian Stenson.
Oh yeah, Brain Stain. That was kind of a while ago, right? I thought of that.
UFC
that popped in my mind. No, it wasn't too long ago. Yeah, it was late September, I guess. Just the lack of drugs is making time slow down for me. But I digress. Michael Bisping, the fight before that lost to Chael Sonnen, so he is 5-1 in his last 6. That I know I've said it a million times. I think he won that Sonnen fight. And he's taking on Vitor Belfort, obviously coming off a loss, but it is a loss to one of the best in the world, Jon Jones. And I really think it's something to mention that since his 2006 loss in Pride to Dan Henderson, he's only lost to Anderson Silva and Jon Jones. And you look at his overall record, the dude has only lost to the top guys. He lost to Liddell, Couture, Ortiz, and Sakuraba in their prime. And the other losses are to Overeem, Dan Henderson, Anderson Silva, and Jon Jones. I mean, all of those guys are legends. Most of those guys will probably end up in the UFC Hall of Fame, and I'm including Henderson, Silva, Jones, Ortiz, Couture, Liddell. Maybe the 2 names you don't see in the UFC Hall of Fame are Overeem, which I think you probably will, and Sakuraba, who, he lost to Sakuraba in 1999 when Sakuraba was at his prime. It was a unanimous decision at Pride 5 in Japan. Yeah, dude, he's got an absolutely amazing record. Literally only loses to legends. And I don't know if Michael Bisping is on that caliber of legend, but I do kind of think Belfort is getting a little bit older. He's 35, even though, Bisping isn't that young himself, 33. Bisping has improved so much, kind of on the opposite career path as Vitor Belfort, even though I don't think he's digressed. I don't think Belfort's necessarily gotten that much better in the last few years. Well, Bisping has come leaps and bounds. I mean, Jesus Christ, since his loss against Vanderlei Silva, I think he's gotten better in every single fight. He beat the shit out of Jason Miller. In my opinion, beat Sonnen with a decision, absolutely steamrolled Brian Stann. And personally, I think Michael Bisping is going to take a unanimous decision against Vitor Belfort, who, God, Belfort's so good, but he's fighting really kind of quickly. Belfort fought just about a month ago, lost to Jon Jones on that UFC 152 card that Bisping also fought on. But yeah, as much as I want to give this to the hand speed and experience of Belfort, he has fought a lot more top guys than Michael Bisping has. I'm still giving the unanimous nod to Michael Bisping unless Belfort gets one of those flash KOs.
Yeah, going back to what you said about Belfort having only lost to champs and looking great, I kind of disagree with that. I think based off of strength of competition, yeah, he did very well against Jon Jones, which ups his stock tremendously. But if you look at the guys that he's knocking out, I mean, Rumble, Akiyama, who have had less than stellar careers, and then Franklin, which was all the way back in 2009, I feel that he really hasn't performed well in the UFC overall. If you look at his career, there was a huge period of time where he dropped off and he was just losing fights left and right. You could see that his will to win was broken when he couldn't impose it. And, you look back at his early career, he was the Phenom, he was blitzkrieging at heavyweight. He did very well against Chuck when Chuck Liddell was Chuck Liddell. So
I want to fuck Chuck.
I'm going to fuck Chuck now. But I thought that he was based off of his career, it's been a roller coaster ride, but judging from that Jon Jones fight, he still has it. I mean, he's an older fighter, but he really does have it. And in this fight, Michael Bisping, man, I used to hate the guy, but I think my respect went up for him, when he faced off against Chael Sonnen, a guy that beats up everyone. I mean, really just steamrolls them. And Michael Bisping did so well, especially for a British fighter, in the grappling aspect. And I realized after that Chael Sonnen fight that not only does he have world-class skills, But I finally stopped hating the guy because I realized that his thing is kind of a shtick like Chael Stone. And I mean, he talked a lot of shit on The Ultimate Fighter Season 9 against Dan Henderson. And when he got knocked out, I was so happy to see it. And, I thought that he was fighting a lot of cans leading up to his fight with Sonnen. I mean, he fought Jason Mayhem Miller, Jorge Rivera, Akiyama, Dan Miller. So I really felt that he hadn't proved himself, but he did really well against Wanderlei early 2010, as well as against Chael Sonnen. So ultimately, I like the guy. Belfort has upped his stock. When this fight comes, I'm going to be super, super pumped for it. As far as who takes it, man, and it depends on which Vitor Belfort shows up. We can always count on Michael Bisping to come in well-conditioned, with excellent movement and perfect technique. But if the Belfort that showed up, against John Jones and Rich Franklin, if he shows up, then it's going to be a fight. But if he shows up any other way, I think it's going to be a long night, and I think he'll get finished. So we'll see. I don't really want to call it simply based on the fact that there's too many intangibles. I mean, the kind of shape that Belfort will be in, can he keep up with the pace? Mentally, is he with it? And the fact that he's dropping down to middleweight after fighting at light heavyweight, I think that is going to be the deciding factor.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you on a lot of those points. Really good breakdown, and kind of go back to you talking about Michael Bisping's grappling. It isn't just his ground grappling, but he was fending off Chael Sonnen takedowns like nobody I've ever seen in all of Sonnen's fights. Nate Marquardt couldn't even do it. Anderson Silva couldn't even do it. Bisping's really turned himself into a very, 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 what is the word I'm looking for? Really, really kind of adept grappler. Really, really gets
Proficient.
in there and
Proficient.
Exactly. Yeah, doesn't necessarily use it to get on top of guys because he has top class boxing as well. But he's proficient enough to not let you take him down. And like I said, I've never seen anyone do that to Chael Sonnen before, and really looking forward to seeing him. He's always been a guy who likes to box it up. He only has 4 submissions compared to 14 knockouts, and it's going to be it's going to be really interesting because Belfort, it seems like every Brazilian in the UFC is a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Belfort's also a black belt in Judo. So I think on the ground, Belfort would have the advantage. So Bisping's going to want to make this a boxing match, which most guys don't want to do with Vitor Belfort. But that's what he's going to do, and it'll be interesting to see what plays out.
Absolutely. And, you brought up Michael Bisping having that just really, really well-rounded game, as well as his boxing. And a lot of people don't credit him enough for his power. A lot of people say, well, he's a pillow puncher. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen? It is a middleweight fight. He cuts down from 205. He has power. He chooses to be a more measured fighter. Look at Nick Diaz. He doesn't have that one-punch knockout power, really. I mean, beyond Robbie Lawler, who has he really put to sleep with one punch? It's all about volume. It's all about perfect technique and pressure, because just like Nick Diaz, Michael Bisping has that world-class cardio to keep a pace that other guys just can't keep up, and that's worth looking at in this fight.
Exactly, and yeah, that is going to be a barn burner next January 19th after the 2013 New Year. Let's move on to World Series of Fighting 1 just for a second. Really well put together show. The one thing that kind of stood out to me was it seemed like 75% of all the commercials were starring black Brazilians. You had Michael Johnson barking like a dog, Anthony Johnson talking about, which I loved. The beginning of the commercial said something along the lines of, "When I was little, my dad taught me to push until I couldn't push no more." Like, when you were little, Anthony, were you talking about when you were a little kid or when you fought at welterweight? Just really, really funny hearing. Probably a guy plagued with weight issues more than any fighter in the entire sport in history. Start a commercial off with, "When I was little." But I will digress. Really, really awesome card. You had a lot of very familiar names on it. Gerald Harris taking a loss. Miguel Torres taking a loss, looking really stiff. I don't know what's up with him. You had Brian Cobb eking out a split decision win against Janis Torres. JZ Cavalcante getting a heel hook within a minute of the first round against TJ O'Brien. And I haven't even gone over the main co-main yet. Oh, yeah, of course you had Tyrone Spong, who apparently 7 guys turned down a fight against. Very interested to
Can't blame
see.
him.
No, you can't. You know, one of one of the greatest kickboxers of our time making the transition into mixed martial arts. It's going to be very interesting to see how far along he can progress. You have guys that can't make the transition from kickboxing to mixed martial arts because it's such a multifaceted game. And then you have guys like Alistair Overeem who not only can make the transition, they can stay at that elite level. So I'm very interested to see how high Spong can go. I really think the roof is limitless for him. He could be a UFC light heavyweight contender within a year or two. But the main event and co-main event, like I mentioned before, you had Anthony Johnson on the card with all the Black Zillions in attendance, including Rashad Evans in the crowd, watching him fight, taking on DJ Linderman. And we've heard Linderman's name before. He's fought and lost to a few different guys. Actually, I'm looking at his record now, and he hasn't. I think he was scheduled against a fight with a notable guy. Great pod, me just rambling on about random people. But no. You had Anthony Johnson taking him on, and oh my, it was maybe my favorite finish of the entire year. Not necessarily the most, or no, I can't really say that because Edem Barbosa was fucking brilliant, but it was really, really fun to watch because Linderman actually pokes Johnson in the eye, and Johnson's like cringing, he has one eye shut. He looks over at Herb Dean because he wants a second, because if you get poked in the eye, that's obviously a foul. You're allowed 5 minutes, and even it can turn into a no contest. But Herb Dean didn't see it, and the fight kept on going. He looks over at Herb, later says, he has zero problems with Herb, just of course he didn't see the eye poke. Ironically, but yeah, Johnson gets poked. Ironically, you get it there? No pun intended. Oh wait, no, but gets poked in the eye, is backing up, kind of hurt, and Linderman smells blood, rushes Johnson, and as he rushes in, Johnson, I said the same thing on the MMA Roundtable. Johnson should wear an eye patch for the rest of his fights because he's so far fighting with one eye shut. He's 1 for 1 on knockout punches. He landed this right to the chin of Linderman that knocked him out cold, turned off the lights. Linderman goes stiff, planks to the ground. Anthony Johnson, angrily spiking his mouthpiece, was very upset that DJ Linderman had called him Crumble, his nickname being Rumble. And yeah, Anthony Johnson getting the knockout punch in the first round. Great debut in the World Series of Fighting. And of course you had Andrei Arlovsky and Devin Cole. Really nice to see Arlovsky finally getting a win. A lot of people were questioning whether he should stay in mixed martial arts or not. And also about halfway through the first round, lands a good punch, swarms in with hammer fist after he drops him and gets the TKO victory as Steve Mazzagatti pulls the pit bull off of Devin Cole in the first round. It was a great card. I really enjoyed it. I was sort of expecting, I wasn't expecting much. It was their first promotion, etc., etc. But yeah, it was it was really awesome. And yeah, what was your favorite moment of the night? Mine probably goes to that Anthony Johnson knockout I was talking about with one eye shut. What was your favorite moment of the evening?
Well, before I answer that, real quick, you talked about Anthony Johnson's finish just being spectacular and, really, really dramatic if you think about the way that it happened. And you brought up that Edson Barbosa KO, which was different in the fact that it was just a crazy unorthodox technique that we don't see. But as far as visceral, dude, this year, best finish yet was Pat Curran's on Joe Warren. Do you remember that thing?
Oh my god,
that was brutal.
I never yell at the TV, but I was literally screaming, "Stop it! Stop the fucking fight! Stop it! What the fuck? Stop it!" That was so brutal.
Yeah, definitely. So my favorite moment of the evening, you know what? it's still got to be Cavalcante getting that what was it, an Achilles lock? No, I don't know the exact move. He got a leg lock on TJ O'Brien, who is a UFC veteran, and obviously he was overmatched, but Jay-Z is at a up and down road. He fought in the Strikeforce for a little bit. I've always thought that he had world-class skills. He was in the top 10 not too long ago, so to see him get that finish within, I don't know, like barely any time, it was fantastic for me. And the other notable ones were, as far as performance-wise, was Josh Berkman, a guy who has fallen off the map, coming in there against a guy in Gerald Harris, who usually fights at middleweight, and he absolutely put it to him using a perfect game plan. I absolutely respect that, and the fact that many think that Berkman was done, and to see him pull off that kind of a performance, I enjoyed it. Obviously, Spong and Arlovsky and Johnson got really, really nice finishes, but the fact is they're facing heavily overmatched opponents, so that's why I don't put too much stock into their performances.
Definitely, yeah. Hard really to gauge a lot of these. A lot of these really were made to give dudes like Arlovsky and Johnson wins. They were very much favorites going into it, and yeah, you know, it'll be really interesting to see him take on top guys, but I don't think anyone thought that Devin Cole or DJ Linderman had much of a chance. What do you think about not just in the World Series of Fighting, but overall, people making fights just to give a fighter a win?
Well, I think that it's from a business standpoint, I understand it. I mean, you want to build up somebody, you're going to give them someone that's not really on their level. And not only is that interesting in the fact that they're probably going to win spectacularly, but it gives the other person the chance to be an underdog that scores an upset victory, which is more shocking than obviously the contender who was picked to win actually winning. So that I understand. But as far as this being a sport, you know, we've gone over this so many times on the podcast. If you want to legitimize this thing as a sport and not just as an entertainment business, you need to make the fights that make sense, not the ones that, you know, you think will be entertaining. I mean, Stephan Bonnar versus Anderson Silva is the perfect example of that. You know, we were all sold on that fight. Well, Bonner's never been finished, and you know, he's pretty big. That should be good enough. And then Anderson goes in there and pulls a fucking Neo on him. So I think as far as business, you know, it makes sense for these smaller guys. They want to cash in to make money. But if you want to get yourself out there in the mainstream and legitimize it as a true sport, that's going to hurt. That's not going to help.
Yeah, you know, it is kind of a win-win for both fighters. The favored fighter can, you know, get a win back on his record, just like Arlovsky did in the main event. The losing fighter has a chance to, you know, really get a big upset and move himself up the rankings. If he loses, it was kind of just expected. Doesn't hurt him much. The promotion gets, you know, gains from it. They not only get, you know, a card that's going to sell, but they get an awesome highlight that they can use going forward. You know, I'm sure they'll be replaying the Anderson Silva knee to the suplexes and promos for all of his upcoming fights. His what is it? His solar plexus. Solar plexus. Yeah, that is the medical term I was going for. You can tell I'm not in med school.
The point where he hit a knee and then
picked him up and suplexed him. Yeah, no, the solar plexus, but yeah, you know, the only ones who lose are the fans. Yeah, there are some fans who love a visceral knockout, but for the most part, especially when it comes to mixed martial arts, who has some of the most dedicated fans in the world, we don't want mismatched fights. We want to see the best fight the best. We don't want to see the best take on a can. You know, in the case of Silva Bonner, certain cases merit it because, you know, Silva offered to jump on a card that was decimated with injuries, and Bonner was the best person who would accept the fight. Nobody wanted to fight him. But in most cases, when you see a really good fighter against a can, it just is shitty for the fans. And we'll move on to one more topic before we give you the fights we're pumped for November. And kind of on that topic of November, a lot of people also know this month is Movember, grow out a mustache. A lot of people don't shave. I did that a shitload in college. I can't now because I'm going into a workplace, and that'd be really nasty if I had a month-long neck beard going and was all dressed up fancy and whatnot, so I can't really rock the no-shave November. I could have rocked a mustache, but I don't want to look like a rapist. But I kind of wanted to ask you, what is...
Bristol Morunde will find you.
God damn, if I just shaved a mustache, I'd, be walking down the house... and Bristol Morunde would be sprinting down the sidewalks in just his underwear, would chase me into a parking lot and head kick me to fucking Jupiter like he did a actual rapist. If you want to hear that story, listen to that episode of the MMA Podcast, you crazy bitches. But yeah, that was a cool-ass story. Head kicks a rapist, holds him down in his underwear in a parking lot. It sounds like a scene out of Cops. But yeah, God, what bad luck. I mean, if, not to be on the side of the rapist or anything, but if you're gonna rape a chick, what shitty luck to not only have someone hear shit going down, but, it being a top-flight MMA artist who fought Jacare, just about a year ago. Holy shit, what?
Yeah, can you imagine that guy squaring up and mean-mugging like he does?
Yeah. God, he has the best mean mug of the whole cast of the current season of The Ultimate Fighter. You must have a very, very shitty karma if you're trying to rape someone and a top MMA artist is next door listening. You probably were like a rapist in your last life too or something.
Yeah, and it goes to show you, don't judge a book by its cover, because he was one of the nicest guys we've interviewed, just so laid back. And then you see his mean mugging on The Ultimate Fighter. It really goes to show you that, man, you really can't judge people. Don't do it.
Yeah, and that noise in the background was me scratching my ear, ladies and gentlemen. If you heard that, I was scratching my ear. Yeah, but yeah. It's why I lead off most of our fighter interviews with what got you into mixed martial arts, because I'm still, to this day, even though I've heard 20 stories now, it perplexes me how these dudes are such class acts. They're very intelligent, they talk very proficiently about their careers and their fights and the sport itself, yet their job is to beat people the fuck up. It's crazy. I don't get it. But, we were talking about rape and mustaches and rapists and shit. What is your favorite mustache in the sport of mixed martial arts? I will pass it off to you. There's so many people. We have Ian McCall, who was on the podcast a couple months ago. Obviously, probably, if you had a UFC Hall of Fame of mustaches, the first two entrants would be Dan Severn and Don Fry. Just, bushy, Ron Swanson-esque, beautiful mustaches. You have Cody McKenzie with, the Guy Fawkes sort of mustache and goatee. Tom Lawler, obviously, you can't leave off of the list. It is a tough call. I guess you could call the Chuck Liddell facial hair get up a mustache, because it's like a handlebar with a soul patch. It isn't like a full goatee. There are so many beautiful mustaches in mixed martial arts. Which is your favorite?
Well, I'll tell you what. If we're going classy, gotta go Ian McCall. That thing is old-fashioned, old-timey, and just plain fun. But if I have to go all-time favorite, it's the handlebar. I don't think you can beat that, man. That thing is just, I don't know, it's ghetto. It's just, it's something that I tried to grow out and rock for a while, and I just couldn't rock it. Only certain people can, so I'm going for that one.
Yeah, and I totally agree. If we are going class, nothing beats Ian McCall. We actually spoke with Ian McCall on Twitter a couple days ago. Chris reached out to him, said, yeah, what about that mustache blog you were thinking about? And he actually replied back and was like, oh shit, I gotta get on that. So definitely keep your eye out for that. We will retweet it on the MMA Podcast if he talks about it at all. But for me, it's between Severn and Don Fry, and the reason I give it to Don Fry is because with Dan Severn's mustache, you could still see his mouth. You can still see his upper lip. It's groomed. Don Fry just lets that beast grow. If he's sitting there with his mouth closed, you can't see either lip because the giant bush mustache is growing over it. Jesus Christ, what an amazing mustache, what an amazing fighter. But when I think mustaches, I think, as classy and sophisticated as Ian McCall's mustache is, I gotta go throwback, and I gotta go with that giant bush of a mustache above the upper lip of Don Fry.
Yeah, man, Don Fry is just, what an interesting fellow. I mean, he really just can talk with the best of them. Beyond Chael Sonnen, I think he's one of the most interesting personalities out there. Not only in his fighting style, but the way that he can carry on a conversation. The normal person would think that he's droning, but if you really listen to what he says off the cuff and, without any without anything being scripted, he's really smart. And it's kind of crazy, too, to look at the guy. In his later years, he was still yoked up. And in the course of a year, you look at him when he stopped training and officially retired, and he turned into an absolute schlub. And you know what? I think he earned it. I really think he did.
Yeah, he kind of did. But is Fry in the UFC Hall of Fame? I think he is, right?
I'm not sure about that.
True. Well, we will not look that up because I don't fucking feel like it. If you want to look it up, you can go look it up right now. If you're listening to this, you have Google.
You think Ramen's going to call in?
Ooh, Ramen. Is it Ramen or Ramses?
It's Ramses, but I call him Ramen. Kind of like this guy that I work with. His name is Kyle, but his first day, right after he told me his name was Kyle, I called him Carl. I still call him Carl. And you know what? He answers to it, so goddamn it, I'm going to keep it up.
Does he get pissed whenever you call him that?
No, not at all, dude. Not at all. He says it's endearing.
Wow, yeah. I actually went by Walt at a job, which I had for 4 or 5 months at the University of Florida Student Union, because there was somebody who had already been working there a couple years named Jake, and we all kind of decided it'd be stupid to call us Jake W. and Jake A. So instead, because my last name is of course Walters, they called me Walt, and I like someone be like, "Hey Walt," and I just wouldn't turn. I just kind of sit there, Walt, Jake, and be like, "What?" Yeah, it was it was pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, Walter White, man. I just wanted to give a shout out real quick. I was just perusing through Twitter. And I realized that Darren Cruikshank, alumni of the MMA podcast, and correct me if I'm wrong, our first guest? Or our second guest?
I think was our second guest. Our first
show.
He was on the first show. It was him and John Albert on our first show.
Right. Well, he is fighting on that monster Fox 5 card on December 8th. The one with Bendo, Nate Diaz.
Oh. Yeah, is he still fighting Henry Martinez?
He is, dude. So big shout out to Darren. We love what you do, and I'm going to be rooting for you on Fight Night, man. And everyone tune in for his fight on the prelims.
Definitely, yeah. Really looking forward to it. And it's kind of, before we did this podcast, I had no relations, sexual or social, with any UFC fighters, thankfully. But yeah, we've kind of gotten to know a stable of UFC guys, and it makes you a little more invested in these fights when there are like 3 guys on any given card who we've had a 45-minute conversation with. It's really cool seeing these guys we have on fight. I know Mark Hominick actually fights this month, which I wanted to ask. Are you going to be rooting for Mark Hominick or against Mark Hominick? Because he kind of gave you a lot of shit.
Well, I've been watching the guy fight a long time, so of course I'm going to root for him. He was giving me shit, but I gave him the openings to do it, so I can't be mad at him for that. He's got an amazing style, great cardio, wonderful boxing, and a slick guard, so how can you root against that?
Yeah. And guys coming off a few losses, and I really want to see him stay in the UFC. So yeah, shout out to Mark Hominick as well. You want to get to the fights we are pumped for the month?
I'm pumped for that.
I'm pumped for this. I'm pumped for that.
I'm so vascular right now.
And I think we did July, August, September, October. So this is the 5th edition of fights we're pumped for. It might be the 6th. I forget if we did one for June. But we're sort of changing the format up a little bit. every month we've done 3 fights we're pumped for, and we were kind of going back and forth. We're just going to go with one each, kind of focus on one instead of, spouting out 6 fights we're pumped for altogether. See if we like it. We might go back to the old format, especially if it's a really busy month. Yeah,
we've learned our place, man. We know that we have a lot of stuff to get through.
And you motherfuckers have short attention spans.
And we're sick of it.
And we're fucking sick of your bullshit. No, we love you. And I want to put it inside of you. So, yeah.
And you know what? Real quick, before we get there, I just want to say something. I know this is kind of the jerk each other off episode, and it's time to jerk off our fans. Without you guys, we never would have made it to number 3,035 scores. And I personally thank you for that. So thank you. There.
Yeah. Oh, fuck yeah. Yeah, I mean, I know that we have at least 2 downloads because both of us download the podcast. But when I see we're getting like over 1,000 downloads over the point of a week, it kind of makes me scratch my head and go, what the fuck, or what? Like, first, because I've always been kind of erring on the side of self-deprecating, just because I try as hard as I can to not be that cocky douchebag. But my first thought is, fuck me, like, why the fuck are so many people listening? And I'm like, I guess we're doing good. But yeah, I mean, it's been an overwhelming amount of support. Like, even a few weeks in, I had to buy more bandwidth because a bunch of people started downloading that. And I also know a big portion of those people are from the MMA Podcast. So all my buddies over there, whether it's my boy Michael Holland, whether it's Brandon, a.k.a. Bubbles, my boy Kyle, a.k.a. K-Pro,
K-Pro's fucking hilarious.
God, he is the funniest poster on the fucking playground, hands down. Like, I mean,
and he's just nice, never a dick.
Yeah, never a dick, and a funny motherfucker. Fucking infrastructure grappler. I literally could go on for minutes and minutes talking about all of you beautiful motherfuckers. If you aren't a member on the MMA Playground, definitely pop on there. I'm active. The other guys on the round table, Ray is super active. Ray's actually a moderator over there. Our boy Patrick, a.k.a. P Money, he's P Money on the MMA Playground. And yeah, it's a really cool site, MMAplayground.com. It not only has what I say is unequivocally, hands down, the best forum of mixed martial arts, because A, you don't have an overabundance of douchebaggery, and if it is, it's kind of quelled quickly. Like if you go on there and start being stupid or start being a douche, you can be kind of, if you're new, you don't know much about the sport, we don't have a problem with that. But if you're just, fuck this guy and fuck you, everyone will put you in your place pretty quickly. But yeah, it's fucking hilarious.
Don't be a shithead. Life's too short.
Don't
be a shithead.
Don't be a cunt. But as long as you aren't a cunt, you will be welcomed with open arms by everybody there. It's a great forum, and it's also a really cool MMA game. There's a new season every 10 events, so even if you're doing shitty, it'll eventually restart, and you make picks for every fight, how you think the fight will end and what round, and how it'll end, what round, and who wins. Yeah, obviously who wins. Yeah, Jesus Christ, K-Pro too. I mean, I would like to stroke K-Pro off, just as we've jerked each other off, because this is the jerk off 20th episode, 20 inches of girth combined between me and Chris. I'm 6 and he's 14, but yeah, we're jerking each other off. God damn, K-Pro makes, he's constantly in the top 100 of picks, which it's a pretty big pick site. Like, thousands of people put in their picks, but there's a solid group of, I want to say, 50 or 60 people, which is perfect, who post, because you get to know their personality, and it's...
I gotta start doing it, man. I need to start showing you guys that.
Yeah.
That's my goal.
Yeah, and
it's just another thing that I have to focus on the internet, dude. And I got so many things. It's just overwhelming sometimes, but I'll make time for it, dude. I think time is nigh.
Yeah, and they actually talk about our podcast a lot over on the MMA Playground. Everyone's familiar with it. Most people have listened to it. I get a lot of props, which is the equivalent to a Facebook like, being like, oh man, fucking awesome show tonight. So it's really been a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. And so if we're stroking people off, I would like to stroke off you, the listener, wherever you are. If you're in a train, if you're on a bus, if you're sitting naked alone, I just want you very briefly, if you're in public, you can kind of do it, kind of nondescript. I just want you to touch your junk, whether it's a penis or a vagina. I just want you to touch it, whether it's through your pants or not. Do it for me, because I want to touch you sexually. Because let me bang, bro. Let us bang you. But yeah, fucking so much love to everyone who listens and downloads our podcast, and I just came. But yeah,
right, I think we're good on the stroking.
I think we are good on stroking. We have stroked enough for one night, but we shall stroke again. Let's get to the fucking fights we're pumped for. And I'll lead it off. Both of our fights are those key welterweight fights at UFC 154 that I can't fucking wait for. In the co-main event, we have Martin Kampmann versus Johnny Hendricks. Man, I was hard just a few seconds ago talking about jerking you, the listener, off, but I'm getting hard again thinking about Martin Kampmann. Holy shit. And Johnny Hendricks, both of them are on such tears now. I mean, you have Kampmann, who's coming off wins against three top guys. He Rick Story when he was Rick Story, got the unanimous decision win there. He beat Thiago Alves in the third round. Beautiful guillotine. It took out Jake Ellenberger, who a lot of people were arguing was at the top of the heat of welterweight contenders. I actually go on FightMatrix.com right now. He's number one in the welterweight division. They've phased GSP out because they automatically phase people out if they've gone a year and a half without fighting. So GSP isn't in the rankings, although he obviously will be after the fight against Carlos Condit. Kampmann's number one in the computer's eyes in the welterweight division, and he's taking on a guy who can fucking bang. He has the strongest punch in the welterweight division, hands down. Knocked out John Fitch 12 seconds into the fucking fight. Won a split decision against Josh Koscheck, who has Top Wrestling, hung in there excellently with him. Also got a decision over Pierce Waldberger. I'm not ready to make a call on this fight because both of these guys are so fucking close. You have Martin Hitman Kampmann, the dude. What is a dude from Denmark called? A Dane? Is that what they are? A Dane? If you're from Denmark, Chris?
Definitely. That is definitely the case. Danish would be from Denmark.
True. I had no idea. But yeah, Kampmann. God, which I love how I stopped my fucking roll just for one single word. The Dane, the Hitman. He's fucking excellent. Has a sizable reach advantage against Hendricks, which he's gonna need because Hendricks can bang so much harder. God, I won't make a pick for this yet, even though I will admit I'm leaning Hendricks now. I think Hendricks has the wrestling edge. He was a Division I wrestler at Oklahoma State, and I think he has the boxing edge too, just because he has that punch that can drop anybody. But if Kampmann plays his cards right, kind of fights a Dominic Cruz, Nick Diaz-esque style, which I can't believe I just compared those two fighters, but, works around, uses his footwork, makes it a pitter-patter fight, doesn't let Johnny Hendricks get in there and drop him, I think Kampmann will win, but giving the edge to punching and wrestling to Johnny Hendricks, I'm leaning Hendricks. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck to call there yet. It is going to be a goddamn war out there with those two welterweights.
It is going to be a goddamn war, and I'm one of those guys that has underestimated Kampmann for most of his career. He didn't fight really good competition at middleweight back in 2007, 2008, and he dropped down to lightweight. He TKO'd some guy that I think had one fight in the UFC. I can't even remember his name. Barely beat Condit. and since then has had ups and downs. I mean, he choked out Jacob Volkman. He just dominated Paulo Thiago when Paulo Thiago was looking great.
Paulo Thiago.
And was Paulo Thiago, yeah. Yeah, but then he lost those 2 decisions to Jake Shields and Diego Sanchez. Both of them split decisions. Both of them he should have won. So I kind of, I felt that he won those fights, but I really also felt that he didn't do enough to put the stamp on it. So I was kind of back at square one with it. And then he comes in there and he dominates Rick Story and then finishes Thiago Alves in a great comeback. He was losing that fight, got that mounted guillotine in that 3rd round. That was wonderful. And then absolutely put the beat down on Jake Ellenberger. Finished him in emphatic fashion. And I know you'll never agree with that, but since he's on a 3-fight win streak... Since he's on a 3-fight win streak, 2 of those by finish against really top guys, I have the utmost admiration for him. And then you look at Johnny Hendricks, his only loss in the UFC is to Rick Story, and that was by a decision. Other than that, he has knocked out a litany of contenders. TJ Waldberger, who's looking great. He knocked out Charlie Brenneman. He knocked out John Fitch. TKO'd Amir Sadala when Amir, was kind of on top. So, just fantastic run. And, to see these guys go head to head, I think it's really going to be the equalizer in the fight is going to be the wrestling and the clinch work, because, they both have strong aspects when it comes to striking. Johnny Hendricks has that one punch KO power. Martin Kampmann is one of the best kickboxers and technically sound practitioners in the division. So it's going to come down to those scrambles, the cage work, and I really don't see this fight getting finished. I mean, Martin Kampmann took a Paul Daly blitzkrieg and still stayed on his feet. I don't really see him getting finished in this fight. Jake Ellenberg also had him in a lot of trouble, and he came back. So I think it's really going to come down to the aspect of grappling in this fight.
Yeah, definitely. I really could see that. But I am fucking pumped for Johnny Hendricks versus Martin Kampmann. Really excited to see. It isn't a guaranteed number 1 title contendership fight yet, but all signs are pointing toward it being a number 1 title contendership fight. Chris, what is your fight you're pumped for November?
The fight I'm most pumped for is definitely the return of the King, GSP. Yeah, GSP is coming back finally, and there's a lot of questions that we ask. Does he have the drive? Does he have the motivation? Can his knee hold up to his style? I mean, he uses those blast double legs in the wrestling department. So, are we going to see a revitalized GSP, or are we going to see a GSP who can't really hang in there anymore? And he has a perfect test ahead of him in Carlos Condit, a man who, like you have said, his toolbox is brimming with tools. Like, you got crescent wrenches falling out, you got hammers, you got all kinds of screwdrivers. So, I mean, the guy...
Actually, it's an adjustable wrench. The Crescent is the name of the brand. Thank you, Adam Carolla, for that bit of douchebaggery advice.
Sure. Thanks for that. Thank you. And yeah, he has... a lot of people have said his weakness is in wrestling, but he has done really well against strong top game players like Dong-Young Kim and Rory McDonald. He finished both of those guys in emphatic fashion. I mean, he flying kneed Dong-Young Kim, and he put it to Rory McDonald in that 3rd round to get the finish with only 8 seconds left. He knocked out Dan Hardy with a left hook, and nobody has done it before or since. And he actually, I think, had a brilliant performance against Nick Diaz. A lot of people hate on it, say it was a boring fight, but if you go back and watch it and you really appreciate striking technique, you can see that Carlos Condit had the perfect game plan. Don't stand in front of Nick Diaz, angle out at every opportunity, and hit him harder. You look at Nick Diaz's face after that fight, and he was absolutely just potholed. I mean, one of his eyes was swollen, he had marks everywhere, and Carlos Condit was virtually unscathed. So if anyone tells you that Carlos Condit lost that fight, you're out of your mind. Just because
Carlos Condit lost that fight,
you're out of your mind. And, for the reasons I just said, the guy won that fight. I mean, he had the more effective techniques. And beyond, Nick Diaz trash talking during the fight, there's really not much else.
Scared.
Exactly. No real effective striking except for maybe a handful of strikes. So, as far as this fight plays out, I think that you and our listeners know the strengths and weaknesses of both guys. I really see this fight being a standard GSP affair, unanimous decision. He said he wants to finish fights more. And he thinks, his detractors are correct, but God damn it, he's been saying that for 3 years and he hasn't delivered. So I'm not going to believe that. I think he's going to go in there and he's going to make Carlos Condit second guess himself and out wrestle him. Use some top game control and strikes here and there. Maybe attempt a couple of submissions. Carlos Condit said this is going to be a war, but he also said that his fight with Nick Diaz would be a dogfight, and it was anything but. So my bet is on it being the same old thing with GSP, unanimous decision.
Yeah, and it looks like we have a caller. Oh shit, would you call back? I didn't add you to the call. About that, we actually got a caller, and I didn't add him to the conference call. Let's see if we can re-add him here in a minute. I believe it is our boy Ramen calling up, talking about GSP Condit. I actually I think I've been looking at the Twitterverse, seeing that he's going for Carlos Condit. Hello.
This is Ramses in Austin. How are you guys doing?
Good. What is up, brother?
I just wanted to ask you, are you out of your mind thinking GSP is going to win? Did I just hear that and have to pick up my phone and call in?
So what about Carlos Condit makes you think that he's going to knock off one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in UFC history?
It has nothing to do with Condit at this point. All Condit has to do is just show up. It's all about GSP's knee, man. It's over. It's all over. The party is all over for GSP, man. That knee is so fucked up. This is like it's a ceremony that we're going to witness here, right, guys? We're going to see 5 rounds of sparring. We're sparring with the stars, GSP versus Condit. All right, this guy GSP has nothing left. He's not going to be able to explode and throw Superman punches. Not on a fucking knee that's being held together by like literally a dead man's corpse ligament, just blasted in there and sewn together, barely even given enough time to heal. He's going to try to come in there and take on the reigning champ, a guy like Condit. No, not after that. Not after being laid off for what? It's probably been a year, right? Something like that.
It's been over a year. It was
the party's over. You're insane if you think GSP is going to win.
I do think it is going to be a close fight, but the giant question mark is where GSP is going to be. I kind of tend to err on the side that George St. Pierre is going to be completely prepared. You look at the actual surgeon, James Andrews, I believe. He stitched up Tom Brady's knee. Brady injured his knee bad. I don't know if you're an NFL fan. I know Chris isn't, so he doesn't really know what I'm talking about. But James Andrews, or Brady rather, his knee got fucked up. Actual helmet went into the side of his knee. You cringe watching it, but he patched up Brady. Brady was ready to go in about a year and a half.
That's great and all. That's well and good. I know NFL players can sometimes that.
Ramses with the controversial takes.
Oh no, man, this is legit here. You think Brady's going to be able to throw kicks though? Like seriously. That type of injury, it's like in like Kung Lee versus Franklin. Oh, Jesus, that's gonna
planting off your back foot to throw a 70-yard pass is no small feat. You have to have some strength in those knees.
Yeah, but let's say even a guy like GSP, 170-pound lineman's coming at you. You're gonna throw a kick and stop his ass after that kind of knee surgery? Hell no, it ain't gonna happen, man. It's all over for GSP. He's going to drop the belt, all right? He's coming in here just for the paycheck. He's going to drop the belt. Condit's going to let him have some dignity because Condit's not the kind of guy that's going to just fucking, like, just beat him to a bloody pulp. Condit's going to have dignity. He's going to pace himself and be careful the whole time, too. He'll take it to the 5th round if he has to, just to get the decision win. The only way GSP wins is if it's a goddamn work, and you'll see the decision. You'll see a bogus ass decision.
Oh God, here we go again with the works.
Oh yeah. And by the way, just a quick update.
Blackhawk
on
helicopters, Monsanto, evil lizards sent from the past to destroy the future.
No offense, but you are our resident Alex Jones. I love it.
Yeah, I'm from Austin, Texas here, man. I actually used to do a little writing for Alex up here. He's a good guy.
We need you.
He's
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it.
Yeah, he's out of his goddamn mind. He's like a local fucking hero, and like the local just guy fucking screaming off in the woods with a beard. But wait. Oh, I just wanted to say real quick, since we last talked, Herman also got busted for the weed. And with that and the third loss, he still didn't get cut. Why could that be, gentlemen? Why would that be?
No one's ever been cut from the UFC for failing a drug test for weed, and like I said when you hung up last time, he's lost to 3 top 10 heavyweights in Nelson, Struve, and now Big Nog. They've never cut somebody for losing to a top 10 guy, never cut somebody for failing a weed test, and yeah, you have guys who like Hardy, who survive 4 losses in the UFC, but let's get back really quick to GSP Condit. I know our boy Chris, not only does he have an amazing GSP impression, but I know he also roots for him as well. Chris, what is your take on Ramsey's controversial call saying that there's no way he stands in with Condit?
Listen, Top Ramen, I'm going to tell you the truth. I have never, ever been more hungry for a win in my entire career. I am the best GSP, the strongest GSP. All right, I'm done with that. But
pretty good, pretty damn good.
Yeah. Okay,
I'm impressed.
Thank you. I am impressed with my performance. Here's the deal with this fight, dude. The only way that GSP loses this fight is if he's really not recovered or injured. Let's look at his career. Yeah, he's. Let me finish. Yeah, he's definitely played the safe card.
Bro, I'll let you bang. Go ahead.
Thanks, man. I'm gonna bang. I'm gonna bang for you. He has lost twice in his career. Once when he was very young to Matt Hughes, made a technical error on the ground, got armbarred in spectacular fashion. Got TKO by Matt Serra, and I'm not going to say that was a lucky punch. Matt Serra landed the perfect punch, had the fire, had the drive, but he avenged those losses, and he avenged them with just absolute dominance. I mean, he head kicked, Superman punched, and just destroyed Matt Hughes. And he also did similar against Matt Serra in his home country of Canada in Montreal against Matt Serra in the rematch. He used those brutal knees to the body. If you look technically at George St. Pierre, hold on. Let me finish. Technically, if you look at all of his performances, I can appreciate them. Yeah, the Dan Hardy fight was kind of blah. Yeah, the Jake Shields fight was kind of blah. But I'll tell you what, when you become that dominant, there's got to be some kind of test. There has to be a test for you to stay humble, and this is it, my friend. And he's going to come into this fight regardless. He's going to come in, and he's going to want to win. And Carlos Condit is one of those guys that just doesn't get finished, looks absolutely fantastic in most of his fights. And yeah, I think it's going to be very competitive. But to say that George St. Pierre is going to quit or he's going to lose is absolute ludicrous, my friend. If you're a betting man, that's the worst, absolute worst pick you can make. The only way I see him losing
my bet down.
I'm glad, dude. I'm glad. You're going to lose some money, man. And then when you call in the week after that, what are you going to say then? What are you going to say?
It was a work. Black Hawk helicopters.
No, but I really appreciate you calling in, dude. I really do. Like,
no.
Week in and week out.
Yeah, thanks for taking my call, as usual. Good luck to you guys, but you're out of your mind if you think GSP is winning.
But so...
But yeah, I wasn't cutting you off. I was actually just thanking you for calling in week in and week out.
No, but...
Okay.
But Ramses, really quick before we let you go, GSP, there's definitely a chance. I mean, we're in 2012. There have been some excellent steps in medicine. Back in the 1500s, if you tore an ACL, you were gone. You limped the rest of your life. We're in 2012. You can get patched up and work at 100% efficiency. There is definitely a chance that George St. Pierre is back to 100%. And you say it's unlikely, I say it's likely. It's somewhere between one of our two opinions. If George St. Pierre is indeed 100%, do you think you were saying it's a work like GSP is some bum off of the street. If GSP is 100%, he has a chance of beating Carlos Condit, and that is inarguable. But you're basing everything off of GSP's injury. How do you see the fight going if GSP is indeed at 100%?
If he is somehow miraculously recovered, he's going to have to. He's not going to have planning for 5 rounds to win in 5 rounds. I don't see that being a smart decision for him. He's going to have to try something new this time. I mean, he's going to have to clearly dominate Condit. And going 5 rounds, trusting his knee to last that long, I hope he has that sort of confidence in himself. But I'm thinking he's going to try to. I mean, if he's going to try to win this fight, he knows it's uphill right now for him. I mean, it's uphill for him. Condit is really fucking good. And, Condit isn't going to go away. He's going to be there all 5 rounds. So if GSP really, he knows he's going to have to clearly dominate the kid. And then, but I wouldn't trust that damn surgery on my first fight back with that much on the line to just plan on 5 rounds of sparring. The kid wants it too. He wants to keep that belt. He wants the real belt, the unified belt as well. GSP, he better go for something quick. I mean, like maybe. Man, I hope he if he's gonna explode on that fucking knee and try out, if he's gonna be the same old GSP, he's got to do it in the first round or the second round, first or second round. If he starts going into round 3 territory, it's gonna go Condit's way. That's just it, man. There's no way that GSP is in better shape than Condit if they're gonna go 5 rounds dancing around. There's just no way. Like the surgery ain't that good, man. He's not going to be in the best shape after 5 rounds as Condit is going to be. So GSP's plan better be to take him out fast and quick. And that's not GSP's style. So that's another point against him. That's it.
Well, I'll tell you what, Ramses.
Over.
I just wanted to let you know, man, if I get fired up about stuff, it's just because I'm as passionate as you are. And I just want to let you know that I really do appreciate you calling in. This thing wouldn't keep on going. I mean, we'd do it, but it wouldn't be as strong as it is without having people like you that actually support us and call in. And I really, really appreciate you, calling in week in and week out. And it's something I look forward to. So if I sound like I'm getting, negative with it, I'm not, dude. I just, I support my opinion just like you do. So,
no, man, you screaming, yelling. No, thanks. I really appreciate the show that you guys are putting on. It's like I can kind of pick up on the vibe that you guys are cool. You know what I'm saying? Like I know that you guys are just blazing the J and you're like, yeah, man, let's do an MMA podcast, and then you're fucking doing it. So like I applaud that, and I will listen. It is always fun to listen to and to call in. Even more fun, man. So thank you guys.
Thanks, man. And I got to get on your show, Word on the Street. Shout out to Ramses.
Follow him on Twitter at the Ant and Jimmy Show. Funny ass podcast yourself. I actually listened to one episode. I'm gonna listen to more. I really enjoyed it. But yeah, man, we're really glad you have kind of become a regular caller, and we're looking forward to talking to you next week. We're going to be breaking down UFC 154, and that is going to be a hell of a card.
You should sit in for our entire breakdown, my friend. Like the whole breakdown of the card. You should call in once we start breaking it down and sit in for that, dude. I think that's a good idea.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah, let me know. I'll have you guys on my podcast too, man. I just got to figure out how to do it live, but pre-recording, if you guys are up for that sometime.
Yeah, for sure.
If you guys throw down on some Skype, I'll just blast that.
Let's do it.
Definitely, yeah.
Really quick before we let you go, the co-main event, Campman versus Hendricks. Who have you got in that one?
The guy with the most facial hair is going to win this one.
Of course.
That's just how I'm going to base it. I mean, it's gonna be a brawl, right? So, like, can you really call a brawl, like, when it's these two going at each other? No. So I'm just going to go with the guy with the the most grizzled guy is going to win.
Padding. Yeah. It's padding, but definitely thank you for calling in, Ramses. We really enjoy your hot MMA takes, and I'll be in touch with you in the next week and let you know when we're going to be breaking down UFC 154 next Wednesday, and we will have you back on for sure.
Appreciate it, guys. Take it easy, smoke.
All right.
Good up.
Have a
Take
wonderful
it easy.
evening, sir.
Hey, smoke weed every day.
Every day.
Later. And that's
our
boy,
resident fan.
Top Ramen. Hell yeah. Always has hot and, even more importantly, controversial takes, because that is what's
he's out of his mind, but I love him for it, dude. Shit. Gotta love him for that.
You gotta love a controversial take, but were you done breaking down UFC 154, Condit versus St. Pierre?
Of course.
All right, well, I will kill the jump around music. I didn't have it playing the entire time. I kind of brought it down when Ramses was on and popped it back up just for a second there, but if we are moving on, we will move on. And actually a point that Ramses kind of got to when he was speaking with us was UFC 154 and who would be hungrier out of George St. Pierre and Carlos Condit. Both dudes are saying, "Oh yeah, I'm hungry," and GSP's like, "I am the hungry one." Kind of like, "No, I am the interim champ. I want the belt. I'm hungrier. No, I am like a overweight American at Thanksgiving. I am the one who is the most hungry."
I have the hunger.
I have the hunger. But yeah, I'll pass it off to you first. Who do you think is going to fight with more urgency, more hunger? Condit being the interim champ, looking for that undisputed title, or George St. Pierre returning from a long injury layoff?
Well, I'll tell you what. I think that we kind of broke that down, but this is a more specific case regarding this fight. So I'm going to say this. George has a lot to prove, man. I mean, a lot of people are questioning him. He's probably questioned himself in the primetime episode 1. He said that he called up Joe Silva and said he wasn't sure if he would actually come back and fight. Now, I don't know if that's just for ratings or if that's something he truly believes, but there is some doubt there, obviously, and he has been just trying to keep level, man. He's got his head above the water. He's treading. He's trying to get up there. And in the time that he's been gone, which has been very long, a year and a half, the welterweight landscape has changed. There's tons of contenders with impressive wins. And I think that fires up GSP because as of, when he fought Jake Shields, he had essentially cleaned out the division. That's not the case anymore. And he has a very dangerous test in Carlos Condit. And Carlos has a lot to prove being the interim champ. I mean, he got that strap off of Nick Diaz in a very controversial way. And I think he wants to get back to his finishing ways. He has a 93% finishing rate. And that, career-wise, that's absolutely fantastic. I mean, that goes a long way in saying that he has the skill set to finish fights, whether it's by
really
submission.
Quick, ladies, I also have a 93% finishing rate. Go ahead.
I know you do. I know you do. I've seen it. I smelt it. But so yeah, Condit has that desire, I think, to prove all the fans wrong and saying that he didn't deserve that win. So ultimately, who's hungrier? I couldn't tell you, man. It's what do you think?
It is really tough, Both of them do have very legitimate reasons to have the hunger. You have Carlos Condit, like I mentioned, interim champ, GSP, returning from the layoff, blah, blah, blah. Who do I think is hungrier? I think GSP is. Condit, yes, he has been fighting. I sort of feel like the time building up to a fight builds up that urge more than necessarily what you get from the fight. Condit, yeah, when he fought Diaz, said, "Oh, this is the most I've wanted to win in my entire career." He's probably said that before every single fight. And I think George is a little bit more a cerebral fighter than Carlos Condit. Both of them are extremely cerebral. Condit, we haven't seen somebody fight with a better game plan against Nick Diaz than Carlos Condit. But George St. Pierre, simply because he is one of the best of all time. He's the best welterweight fighter of all time, period. In any promotion. Pride, you can go back anywhere. Matt Hughes was the greatest welterweight fighter of all time. He is the second best welterweight fighter of all time. George St. Pierre is the greatest welterweight of all time. And he's gotten through tough challenges. He beat Matt Hughes twice after Hughes beat him. He beat PJ Penn, wow. He beat BJ Penn twice. He beat Josh Koscheck twice. Hughes, Koscheck, and Penn all pose different challenges. And Condit is probably the most well-rounded fighter that George St. Pierre has ever fought. He has 13 submissions and 13 knockouts, I think. Really, really impressive record. But Condit has a couple losses on his resume that makes me scratch my head. He lost to Jake Shields. He lost to Pat Healy, albeit in 05 and 06, or both of those were actually in 06. I'm looking at it now.
Were they by decision, both of them?
Pat Healy actually rear naked choked him. That was
I wasn't aware of that. I thought Condit had never been finished. I guess he's never been finished in his Zuffa career.
In his Zuffa career, he's never been finished. He's actually been submitted 3 times, lost 2 fights by decision, the submission losses coming to Campman and Jake Shields. Pat Healy choked him out, rear naked choke, in 2006. Satoru Kitowaka heel hooked him in pancrase in 2005 in the first round, and actually a loss I was unaware of all the way back in 2004. He lost to Carlo Prater by triangle choke in the first round.
And he avenged it. He avenged that shit in the WEC.
Guillotine choked him in the first round at WEC 32. But, looking back, Carlos has gotten a lot better, has a lot of great skills, has some of the most impressive finishes. That finish against Dan Hardy, where they both left hooked each other at the same time, that was awesome. Dong Young Kim, he flying kneed him to where Kim had his back up against the cage and his eyes rolling up his head. But I think Condit is one of the top 5 welterweights in the world for sure, but I don't see him getting past George St. Pierre. And I think George St. Pierre is going to be the hungrier fighter.
Well, fantastic breakdown, my friend. I think we both had some great points there, sir.
Let's jerk each other off.
Real quick, before we move on, let's test your MMA knowledge. You have 10 seconds to answer. What famous mixed martial arts camp, which used to train Jamie Varner as well as CB Dalloway, did Carlos Condit train at before moving to Greg Jackson's?
I'm trying to think, trained CB Dalloway and Jamie Varner. I know Condit's been with Jackson's for a while now. When did he go to Jackson's?
In late 2009, when he made the move to the UFC, he moved over to Jackson's.
Man, I don't think I could tell you.
Arizona Combat Sports.
Wow, yeah, he's repping Albuquerque, New Mexico now with Jackson's, but yeah, that's really impressive. Kind of funny, I know he trains at Jackson's, which Mike Winklejohn is, also a great co-coach with Greg Jackson, if you want to call it that, and has probably coached GSP a lot. I wonder if after this fight, George is going to get back to a Jackson's, be like, "Hey, Mike, thanks a lot for choosing Carlos to train in this fight. You are a douchebag." It's really better if you say it, because you're fucking 100 times better at the GSP impression. But yeah, obviously there won't be the fallout compared to Jones versus Rashad. But yeah, it's
let me ask you
always
this.
interesting.
What was the noise that GSP made when he was 5 years old and his dad put some floaties on him and said, "You're going to go in the deep end"?
I want to swim, Daddy.
Swim with the rhythm.
I'm swidum with the rhythm. Oh, Jesus, fuck. Alright, one more bit about that fight before we move on to our 10 seconds of sports. Give Robbie a Fightbusters shout out, and then we'll break down the fuel card and let you beautiful listeners who I love to stroke, and go ahead and touch yourself in the private part again for me, because I just want to get my hands all over that penis/vagina, whatever you have. Probably a penis, because this is an MMA podcast. No homo, but I want to grope your penis. But Dana White saying that Anderson Silva and George St. Pierre could go down at Cowboy Stadium, and the question that I kind of want to pose is, we don't know what is going to happen with George St. Pierre versus Carlos Condit. Dana's talking all this shit about a super fight, Anderson Silva versus George St. Pierre. Anderson Silva apparently wants 2 straight fights outside his division, which is kind of unfair to those middleweight contenders, like your Weidmans, Boches, Bispings, Belforts. What do you think happens? And I'll pose the question for both Condit and St. Pierre. What do you think happens if St. Pierre wins? I'll lead it off. If George St. Pierre wins, I think either way, GSP is going to fight Anderson Silva next. Anderson wants it. Dana wants it. St. Pierre probably only needs to move up 10 pounds. It'll probably be a catchweight fight. I'm guessing at 180 pounds. I don't think Anderson will slip down to 175, but I'm guessing it'll be a fight at 180. If you give GSP 5 or 6 months, he can build up to 180. Building 10 pounds of muscle for a guy like that is not going to be the hardest task in the world. It'll actually be kind of cool to see GSP get super jacked up. But, yeah, I think in both cases, GSP fights Anderson Silva next. But looking at kind of the picture of the division, if St. Pierre wins, what happens? I say St. Pierre takes on Anderson Silva at Cowboy Stadium, as they're talking about, and you have the winners of Campman, which is also a reason why the UFC is not calling Campman versus Hendricks a number 1 title contendership fight. If it wasn't for Anderson Silva, I think they would immediately be like, boom, the winner of this gets the next title shot. But you don't know what GSP is going to do next. So if GSP wins, I see there being... I don't think there will be that much time to where you have an interim champion again, especially because you just gave an interim championship out to Condit. But I see the winners of Campman and Hendricks taking on the winner of McDonald and Penn, and those 2 winners fighting each other, and that guy getting the next shot against GSP after he's fought Anderson Silva. What do you see happening if George St. Pierre wins this fight?
Well, first off, I just want to say that who the fuck cares about this fight? If it was 2009, I'd be sold on it. But GSP, kind of becoming a safe fighter, and Anderson delivering in spades, as well as Anderson just being huge compared to GSP. They have the same reach, 76 apiece. So that's one interesting thing. Yeah, Anderson has that weakness in wrestling, supposedly.
Takedown defense. I mean, Sonnen laid on him.
Yeah, but if you look at the Sonnen rematch, what the fuck? What was that, dude? He wasn't getting taken down easily.
Sonnen won the first round. Sonnen laid on him the first round, and we don't know what would have happened if he hadn't have thrown that ill-advised spinning back fist.
I agree 100%, but you're between Chael Sonnen and GSP, they're completely different wrestlers. If you understand and appreciate the grappling arts, like I know you do, you would realize that they're super different. Sonnen uses strength coupled with technique, whereas GSP uses technique primarily coupled with strength.
That power double. I mean, both of them go to the power double, and it is both of their go-tos.
But in different ways. GSP likes that knee tap, where he pulls one leg back and forces on the opposite side of the body.
Okay.
Whereas as well as Sonnen uses that power double where he just slams into you, kind of like Josh Koscheck. So they have different go-to moves. GSP likes to use that guard smash where he'll grab your leg and he'll fling his lower side of his body to get into side control, whereas Sonnen is perfectly content to stay in full guard. So if you look at those aspects of it, how would that stack up against Anderson? I don't know. We haven't seen him fight. We haven't seen any of his opponents use those techniques against him. It could be effective, but ultimately I think that GSP, yes, he would be very he would be very competitive in a fight against Anderson Silva, but it's not one that I'm interested in. I would prefer to see Anderson versus John Jones. So as far as how this fight plays out, I have no idea. And you know what? I don't think anyone does, because they're just so dominant in their weight classes for different reasons. And as far as their styles go, they've never fought a person that has the styles that each possess. Like, there is no fight in either of their career that you could look on and go, okay, well, this is how it played out. That's never happened. So I can't call this fight, man. I mean, I really can't in my right mind. I'd like to think that I could logically break it down, but I can't.
Yeah, kind of getting to it. So, I mean, if GSP wins, do you think there's a chance that Dana White schedules Anderson Silva versus GSP? I mean, it seems like he really wants it.
Well, according to some sources, I think it's Bloody Elbow or MMA Mania, Anderson Silva will be in attendance for the GSP Condit fight. So, judging by that, yes. If he wins that fight and he wins it impressively, then I would have to say yes. If he plays it safe, then no.
So if GSP wins and he does fight Anderson Silva next, what do you do with the welterweight division as they wait for this super fight to happen?
See, that's the thing that I hate, is when this whole thing played out with BJ Penn versus GSP. Could you mute your mic?
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, if this thing does play out, it puts the entire division on hold and hiatus and kind of a standing. And you have two options. Wait for the winner, or you make an interim title, which I think is just ludicrous. Stop doing it. It doesn't make sense. So, man, I mean, that's my call, dude. Like, they either make an interim title or they make people wait. And either way, I don't think that's good for the UFC.
Yeah, and it's really shitty making these title contenders wait. But, I mean, it does suck, but fucking answer the question I'm posing you son of a bitch. What happens to the welterweight division if GSP leaves a fight and Anderson Silva next?
I know it's very vague, but I mean, sometimes, when you ask me questions, to make your call, I don't really know. So it's kind of just shooting in the dark. I'm throwing darts,
I'm hard right now.
Okay. Fuck. If they make people wait, then they make an interim title match for, Nick Diaz versus the winner of Hendricks versus Diaz.
Ooh, I like that. I actually didn't even think about that. And on the flip side, if Condit wins, which it would actually probably work out better for those welterweight contenders, because Anderson Silva has voiced opinion fighting GSP, win or lose. Condit wins, GSP goes and fights Anderson Silva next, and everything works out very nice. But I'm really looking forward to it. Since 2010, I've wanted to see Anderson Silva fight a title fight, or not a title fight, but a super fight with GSP or John Jones, and that would be a dream come true. George, I'm gonna fight you next. I'm gonna take you down.
I'm not gonna take you down, George. I'm not gonna get you with jiu-jitsu. No quiera. Pora!
Stop doing that. That's so creepy. Pora! You should not be able to make that noise. You really shouldn't.
I'm probably waking up my neighbors like, what the fuck? Is that like a parrot in the next apartment?
Is there some kind
Jesus
of like
Christ.
deranged bird? What is going on?
So before we move on to the UFC on Fuel Macau breakdown, unless you have anything else on the topic, let's knock out the 10 solid seconds of sports and our Fight Busters shout out.
No.
All right.
Yes.
Actually, we're the next 15 minutes is just going to be 15 minutes of silent as we touch each other in our butts. But
we're going to do a moment of silence for Romney.
For low blow, even though neither was like Romney, blah blah blah. We just lost half of our fans. 10 solid seconds of fucking sports. Let's do it. Falcons stay undefeated and roll over the battered Eagles. Alabama comes back against LSU, stays number 1 in BCS. Fuck Gary Bettman. The NBA season plots forward as the Lakers struggle. Florida and Georgia to play each other on an aircraft carrier this weekend. What the fuck? On an aircraft carrier? Huh? The old hotness was NHL played outside. The current hotness is college basketball on aircraft carriers. And a real quick shout out to Ray's Fight Busters, which, God, how fucking how like off-putting are most of these clues, but I really enjoy Ray's Fight Busters. They really are clues where like you hear them and you're like, what the fuck is Ray talking about? These clues make zero sense, and then you hear the answer and you're like, oh, holy fuck. You have any opinion on Ray's Fight Busters?
I definitely do have an opinion on them. They're just not my thing. I don't have the brain for it. I was never good at chess. I was never good at strategy games. So, these things are just so vague, man. And if I went there and I sat for 2 hours, I think that I still wouldn't get it. I mean, my brain just doesn't work that way. So I am actually going to try this week. I know we don't have a roundtable show tomorrow, so I think I'll have the opportunity.
Definitely. And, we are switching from Monday to Thursday. So next Thursday, you can tune in and hear the answers to these Fight Busters. And here you go. Ray's Fight Busters for the week. If you think you know the answers, tweet it to us at the MMA Podcast or to MMA Mental. Ray, obviously the host over there. And the Fight Busters are, and if you want to hear the answers to last week's Fight Busters, listen to this past Monday, the 7th episode of the MMA Roundtable. We'll give you the answers to this one on the 8th, and here are the clues. For the first fighter, which, if you haven't heard a Fight Buster yet, an example would be Barbie's best friend holding a rock. Who's Barbie's best friend? Ken holding a rock. Stone, Ken Stone.
I thought it was Ken
Shamrock. Ken, Barbie's best friend, drinking enormous amounts of beer. No, but here are this week's Fight Busters. Number 1. And I'll do it in Ray's voice, just to be patronizing to all of our British friends over there. Fuck. I'm gonna fuck Ray and then I'm gonna kill him. What?
Wait.
No. Wait, huh? No. Here are this week's 3 Fight Busters. Number 1, correct, incorrect, and then kill. That's correct, incorrect, and then kill. Number 2, I've got lots of money. I'm tough. Bring on the stones. That's I've got lots of money. I'm tough. Bring on the stones. And number 3, steal some jewelry. Which, what the fuck? I don't get that one whatsoever. The clue is 3 words long. Steal some jewelry. I was like thinking about maybe it's somebody Silva, because Silva sounds like, it's like silver, it's jewelry, I don't know. But I can't think of anyone's first name, that's just steal. Like, what the fuck? But yeah, steal some jewelry. So, if you think you know the answer to any of those, or just want to call in and talk shit about anything, including GSP Condit, like Ramsey's just called up, giving his crazy opinion as Alex Jones' take on UFC 154, you can call in at 213-457-3380, tweet us at the MMA Podcast, or visit us at themapodcast.com. Really quick before we get to UFC on Fuel, the UFC 6 lineup was set this week. 4 different fights set. I'm heartbroken I'm not going to be able to see it because it's going to be a month after I move away from Chicago. But the 4 fights named for now. You have the Flyweight Championship, Demetrius Johnson going for his first title defense of John Dodson. the much-anticipated lightweight title eliminator between Donald Cerrone and Anthony Pettis. You got Rampage Jackson taking on Glover Teixeira, and TJ Grant versus Matt Wyman. I know which fight jumps out to you, but, you know, for me, I do want to go with Paige Teixeira because I want to see Paige get fucked up. But personally, Johnson versus Dodson. I'm really looking forward to Demetrius Johnson defending his title for the first time. These fucking flyweights, people boo him, which God bless Pat Barry for fucking getting on the boo birds, those fucking roaches. Yeah, these 125-pounders don't necessarily have the knockout power of a Brock Lesnar, of an Alistair Overeem. But holy fucking shit, like their footwork is impeccable. Their just all-around skill is absolutely amazing. And I'm really looking forward to, most of all, coming back from a piss break. So fucking amazing.
What are we talking about?
What are we talking about? I'm talking about, I just talked about 4 fights made on the UFC on Fox 6 card. I know which one you're going to go after. I'm looking forward to Paige getting fucked up.
I'm looking at it.
I'm looking forward to Paige getting fucked up, but goddamn, I'm looking forward to that flyweight championship most of all. It is going to be amazing. I personally know which answer you're going to pick, but just for the sake of brevity and our listeners, who I want to jack off fervently, which fight are you looking forward to most of all on this Chicago card?
Obviously, Cerrone Pettis. We've kind of beaten that horse to death and then raped it, so I'm just going to say I'm looking forward to that.
I want to rape the horse.
Number 2, shut up over there. Number 2 is TJ Grant versus Matt Wyman. Grant is a fantastic grappler. Wyman is gritty as they come, so I think I'm most excited for that. Johnson, Dodson, I'm sorry. It's going to be fun and interesting, but you know who's going to win? Demetrius Johnson by a decision. I already know how that's going to play out. Rampage versus Teixeira. Teixeira's going to fuck up Rampage, so I think the other 2 fights are more compelling simply based on the fact that I don't know who's going to win.
If John Dodson gets a knockout, will you drink your urine live on air?
You know what? I've done that once before. Are we making a friendly bet?
We are making a friendly bet.
Okay, if Johnson wins, though, by any means, you have to do the same.
What? No.
Yeah, that's how it goes. That's how
He's
a bet
a giant
goes.
favorite. No, a bet's got to be equal for both sides. All right. If Dodson knocks out Johnson,
no,
wait,
wins. Just wins.
I don't want to make it that easy for either of us to drink our own urine. If Rampage knocks out Glover, I'll drink my own urine. If John Dodson knocks out Demetrius Johnson, you drink your own urine.
Okay, how about this? There's a flip side. You don't have to drink any urine whatsoever.
Yes.
Instead, you have to take a lime wedge and a lemon wedge and squeeze them into your open eyes.
No! Fuck that!
Yeah. Well, then no deal. No deal, man.
Fine. Do I have to, video it, or is this, Scouts
you
Honor?
have to do it live. You have to do it live. No, or not live, but we have to at least archive a video of the loser doing it.
I don't know, man. Drinking urine, it's just that wasn't tasty. Squeezing a lime in a lemon in your eyes, just
That's what makes it compelling. Because if we both do the same thing, it's just kind of but if you have different circumstances, I think that's more exciting. Think of something more interesting then. Maybe snorting a line of salt or rubbing cayenne pepper on your balls.
What if I get a syringe of Tabasco sauce, a good amount, and squirt it down my urethra? Does that work?
Dude, there's no way you're going to do that. So you would have to buy a syringe. You would have to buy Tabasco.
Actually,
and I know you would not end up doing it. You wouldn't do it.
Actually, I have a pretty big urethra. I probably could just shake it down. And
I don't want you to have to put a needle anywhere near your urethra. That's horrible.
I'm saying my urethra is the size of a mason jar. I could just pour, literally take off the top and pour it And you better believe I have some Tabasco sauce. I'm a hot sauce aficionado, you son of a bitch. I have Frank's, Tapatio, and Tabasco, because I roll deep with that hot sauce.
Do the lemon lime thing, man. I think that's just more compelling.
What if I put 7 jalapenos into my ass?
Okay, well, obviously you're not going to put that online, so you're just fucking around right now.
Yeah, I'm not going to squeeze lemon wedges into my eyes.
You know what? No bet. We just wasted
No
our
bet. We just wasted.
times.
No, you know what? Urine bet. I will drink my own urine if Rampage knocks out Teixeira. You drink your own urine if Dodson knocks out Johnson.
Okay. How about this, though? How about this? When we drink it...
This is fucking ridiculous.
Okay. When we drink that urine, we have to pour in a shot of Tabasco and spit in it.
Ooh. Spit. I fucking, spits in your mouth the entire time. Sure. You know what? Deal. Spit, Tabasco, and urine. We're some sick motherfuckers. Deal. Virtual handshake. If Paige knocks out Teixeira, I do it. If Dodson knocks out Johnson, you do it. And I'm sure most of our listeners will be rooting for both fighters, because they're, we both might end up doing this horrible shit.
By the way, just so you know, my brother, listening to this and playing Battlefield 3, looked over at me and went, "How do you know this shit?" Oh my god, that's horrible. How do you know? It's like I'm some kind of weird, just masochist. I just know all the worst ways.
That is fucking hilarious. But, let us, before we make any more depraved bets about us drinking our spit, and this is slowly turning into a gay porn. And then I'm gonna spit in a cup and piss in it, and I'm gonna drink it and pour it on my butt. But UFC on Fuel, Franklin versus Kung Lee. It's really a few fights that I'm looking forward to. It's a few we actually don't have time to break down on the podcast. You have Takeya Mizugaki versus Jeff Hoagland, MMA Podcast alumni. Takanori Gomi versus Mac Danzig. You have the one Chinese fighter in the UFC, Taekwon Zhang, the Mongolian Wolf, taking on John Tuck. It is going to be this Saturday, and the first question I kind of wanted to pose... The UFC is putting forth a pretty funny ad campaign. They have Chael Sonnen walking in a dude's room with cymbals and a trumpet and shit, and he's trying to wake this guy up, because this is going to be on early as shit, 8 a.m. Eastern, 5 a.m. Pacific on Saturday. You're in the Pacific time zone. Are you going to be waking up at 5 a.m. to watch this shit?
Fuck no, dude. I know that I'm working Saturday at some point, whether it's 2 p.m., 10:45 a.m., or, 5 to 11. There's no way I'm going to get up that early. I'll tell you what I will do. I will wake up somewhere around, noon, hopefully, and start torrenting it and watch it at a later time.
We
by torrent, I mean watch completely legally on my DVR.
DVR, because we both have DVRs and would never do such a horrible thing.
And all those guys listen to this thing.
Hey, we have 1,000 listeners, some fucking how. Who is telling that one of them isn't some fed-up UFC employee I hate these motherfuckers. I want to hear them say one thing in my illegal streams. I'm going to fucking send the FBI at their house. But yeah, I will be DVRing it legally and watching it legally. But fuck, man, I have to get up at 7 a.m. to work on Friday. I'm all for staying up late. There's no way I'm going to wake up early to watch fights. I mean, fuck that. If it came on at 2 or 3 a.m. my time, I'd think about staying up late to watch it. But fuck me, man. It starts at 7 a.m., the usual time I wake up for work. I'm not going to pull a 24-hour day just to watch this shit. So, like you and like a lot of people, I'm going to be completely legally watching this later, but I will not watch the live stream, and it's actually going to be pretty hilarious. This is probably going to be the least viewed live UFC event in history I'm guessing as far as U.S. numbers go. But hey, maybe a bunch of Chinese people will watch it live or some fucking crazy shit.
Yeah.
I'm kind of wondering why. Usually when the UFC does a fight in Japan or Australia, they'll change up the time, so it'll be that, it'll be afternoon there, so people will watch it here. I hope they aren't expecting any sort of ratings, because nobody's gonna wake up to watch this shit. I am sorry. I don't care. I am a sports nut, and I'll watch. I love sports, football, hockey. I'm not gonna wake up at fucking 7 a.m. to watch anything. I won't watch my own fucking son's birth at 7 a.m. I'll sleep the fuck through that shit and be like, hey, honey, you poop out that baby good? You videotape it? I'll torrent it later or some shit. Yeah, I'm fucking ridiculous. So enough about me talking about pooping and
definitely, man.
Downloading stuff.
I'll tell you what, we should watch that together. Watch it legally, obviously. But at the same time. Yeah, later.
I will...
No torrenting.
No torrenting. Yeah, I'm fucking down. But let us break down these top 3 fights before we let you beautiful listeners who I want to stroke fervently. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, Dong Young Kim taking on Paulo Thiago in a welterweight scrap. Both dudes looking for a little bit of redemption, coming off losses, tough losses. Kim, I still think is a top 10 welterweight, even though you wouldn't think it because he's 1-2 in his last 3. His last fight was kind of a freak TKO. Less than a minute in, he gets taken down. He breaks a rib fighting against Damian Maia. You can't really mark a TKO injury loss up to anything other than bad luck. Sort of like Bigfoot Brown. I think Travis Brown wins that fight 9 out of 10 times, but he just fucked his knee up. There's nothing you can do about that. And the same sort of thing with the Kim fight, and he also lost to Carlos Condit, who I think is a top welterweight. And he's beat everyone else. He beat Nate Diaz. And yeah, they are all by decision. And both top judo players, Paulo Thiago, Black Dan in judo, Dong Young Kim, a 4th Dan black belt in judo. And I think because of that, this will probably be a lot of grappling. We talk a lot about fights that'll be mostly standing up. I see a lot of grappling in this one, and I see Dong Young Kim having the advantage, just being so... He's the best judo player in the UFC, and I see him taking this one. Yum Yum Kim, cocksucker. So pumped for Joey Diaz tomorrow. Go ahead.
Yeah, man, this fight is basically a guy who throws wild haymakers and has a jiu-jitsu black belt against a guy that's kind of more of a American version of a Asian grappler. I mean, and he's also on the flip side a Korean version of John Fitch. I mean, he has a powerful grappling base. He likes to play the top game, so I really see. I mean, Paulo Thiago has never gotten a guard submission in his Zuffa career. He's had a couple of submissions, or at least one that I know of against Mike Swick, and that was a Darce choke from rocking someone and then falling them to the ground. So if we look at history, it really seems that Dong Young Kim is just going to control the fight wherever he wants it. Yeah, against the cage, transitions, beyond a lucky punch. I've got Dong Young Kim, the stun gun, winning this fight all day, every day.
Yeah, and I think we definitely agree there. Moving on, and I'll let you lead off the breakdown for this one. You have Thiago Silva. Thiago Silva, obviously, he has a famed career in the UFC lightweight division against Stanislav Nedkov, who's not really fought much in the UFC. He has one fight in the UFC, a win against Luis Kane. Nedkov's undefeated. He's 12-0, but Thiago Silva... although he is coming off, his last 5 fights, he has 1 win, 3 losses, and 1 no contest. Those losses are all the top guys, Lyoto, Evans, and Gustafsson, and those are the only losses on his entire record. How do you see this one going?
Well, you bring this up, and on the MMA roundtable, I went for Nedkov simply based on the fact of a gut, kind of a gut feeling that I had, man. I mean, there's just something about the fact that he has this crazy winging hook style that really gives me hope that he could win against Thiago Silva. Now, obviously, Thiago has had, stiffer competition. He's fought Rashad Evans. He's fought, Lyoto Machida. He's fought Gustafsson. And, he actually lost to all those guys, but he's looked dominant against everyone else. So, obviously, the smart pick is to say that Thiago Silva will win this fight, but there's something in my mind that says that this guy, this Eastern European dude, will just wing a crazy punch, a counter, and knock out Thiago Silva. I think that Thiago kind of relies on his power more than his technique. He leaves himself open. Even though he's got some crazy kicks and knees, very aggressive, nice takedowns, jiu-jitsu black belt. Even though he has all that stuff, the fact is he doesn't have any head movement and he throws with reckless abandon. And against a guy like Nedkov, I think that's a recipe for disaster. So I'm definitely going with Nedkov in this fight.
Damn. I'm on the other side of the fence. Thiago Silva has so much more experience. You look at Stanislav Nedkov. Yeah, he beat Luis Kane in the first round via TKO, which I think was the only non-Brazilian winner at UFC 134. He's fought nobody. He got a split decision against Kevin Randleman. He just hasn't done anything to make me think he has the grit to beat Thiago Silva. And as long as Thiago Silva isn't using animal urine for this drug test, I have Silva all day by however he wants it. He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, which even though Nedkov is, I think, whether he wants to win this one by submission, he'll probably win via knockout. He has 11 knockout victories, 1 decision victory. I have Thiago Silva taking this one all day.
Well, that's a smart choice, man. I mean, if you're looking at statistics and win rate,
MMA math,
strength of competition, it would be MMA mental to pick Nedkov.
I've got balls of steel.
Indeed.
Did you just do a Duke Nukem on me?
I may have.
I know you did. I heard it, you son of a bitch.
I've got balls of steel. And we have just for P money's sake, I had to throw in one Duke Nukem drop. Moving on to Rich Franklin versus Kung Lee, the main event, something I'm really looking forward to. What I pointed to first in the MMA Roundtable was that Franklin has a big advantage via reach. Franklin has a 76-inch reach, while Kung Lee only has a 69-inch reach. 7 inches is palpable. Our boy Ray from MMA Mental made an excellent point in that Kung Lee, the way he fights, he kind of quells that reach disadvantage. A black belt in Taekwondo. He's famous for those spinning back kicks, sort of like Dennis Seaver is, and really can do a lot of damage. But, you said I use a lot of MMA math, and I try and get away from it as much as possible. But I do need to look at these two fights. Both have fought Vanderlei Silva very recently. Rich Franklin fought him this past June. Kung Lee fought him about a year ago in November 2011. I think it's an apt comparison. Vanderlei knocked out Kung Lee. Rich Franklin irked Vanderlei to a decision, even though Vanderlei rocked him, which, to me at least proves that Franklin has a much harder chin than Kung Lee, and he has excellent footwork, excellent boxing, the second longest reigning middleweight champion in UFC history behind Anderson Silva. And even though I think Lee has a very interesting career, getting older, he is north of 40 years old, but I do see Rich Franklin pulling off this one by decision. Chris, you there? Looks like we might not have Chris at the moment. So yeah, I'll break it down a little bit more. Hopefully he'll pop back on. I'll type in, you there, buddy?
Oh, I'm here, man. I'm here.
There he is.
I'm here, buddy.
Did you hear my breakdown? Or
I did. I heard actually about 90% of it. The last little bit, I heard there was some kind of siren going off and like a dog. I looked out my window.
Oh, shit. Is a dog getting, like ambulanced or something?
Well, no, there was some kind of like really close siren, so I looked out
shit.
like a dog when you hear a noise. Like,
Popo's on you, son.
Yeah, man,
yeah.
Popo's got me. So, what was your lead-off question?
The Popo heard you talk about torrenting shit. They're like, we gotta get this motherfucker. I was saying, I hate to use MMA math, but they've both fought Vanderlei recently. Franklin survived the storm. Lee didn't. Franklin has a harder chin, and that's why I think Franklin, via a harder chin, more experience, better footwork, better boxing, I think he's going to get through the taekwondo of Kung Lee and irk out a unanimous decision victory. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, I'll tell you what. Kind of like Vitor Belfort or BJ Penn at welterweight, Kung Lee is Kung Lee is a one-round pony. I mean, in that first round, he looks amazing. He's throwing all these crazy techniques, but if you look at his style, it takes a lot of cardio and a lot of gas to actually do those techniques. I mean, he's throwing these crazy spinning strikes, whether it's back fists, spinning kicks, side kicks. That stuff takes a lot of energy. And at 39 years old, Kung Lee, as much as he doesn't want to admit it, doesn't have the gas tank to do it.
He's 40.
Yeah, okay, so even worse. At 40, I mean, he's no Randy Couture, and he spent a lot of his career in Sanshou, which is kickboxing mixed with judo. Like, they have some crazy throws. So if Kung Lee has any chance of winning this fight, it's going to be spectacular and in the first round. But I'm sorry, if you look at Rich Franklin's career, who's the one guy to ever stop him by strikes? That's Anderson Silva, and Kung Lee is nowhere near Anderson Silva's level. So I've got Rich Franklin, in this all day long, by whatever he wants, whether it's a TKO, KO, or a submission.
Yeah, and he has knocked out and TKO'd some people with some iron chins. You go all the way back to Ken Shamrock, Evan Tanner, Chuck Liddell, Hamill, Luter, finished them all. Did Anderson Silva finish Luter?
Yeah, he did actually. A triangle with elbow strikes.
Oh, yeah, that was the one where he was coming down with him and then sort of did the Diaz-esque flex celebration, which my fucking favorite submission, just because of the cockiness behind it, was when
Is it the Pellegrino, the Nate Diaz Pellegrino one where he flipped him off with the bird?
It was when, before dude even tapped, he starts nodding his head and flexing like, yeah, I got this shit. I don't know if that was the Pellegrino.
Submission. You know what? I prefer more fantastic submissions like flying triangles or
calf slicers.
No, Chris Lytle has one of the best ones ever, dude. He mounted Matt Brown with a triangle and Kimura him at the same time. I mean, how can you beat that, dude?
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. Yeah, so both of us have Rich Franklin, and before I play us out and let us go for our 20th episode, which once again, thank you so much. You the listener, truly are, and I know so many podcasts say it. You truly are what keep us going. If you really like us and you have a friend who likes MMA, let them know about the MMApodcast.com. Not that we are unhappy with our current numbers at all, but we love the support we've gotten, and we want to keep the ball fucking rolling, son.
Yes, we do, and we spent almost the whole podcast saying it, and just kind of rehashing what you said. You guys make this worth it. If we didn't have a support group or fans, we would still do it, but it makes it worth it. So thank you.
Yeah, it really makes it a lot of fun to do this when we have so much support behind us. Visit us on Twitter at the MMA Podcast, themmapodcast.com. Obviously, you can see it on the motherfucking logo. You can listen to the Roundtable every Thursday now, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. We are live, as always, every Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific. And we are going to have Joey Diaz on soon, Renzo Gracie on soon, Nate Corey on soon. Definitely check out UFC on Fuel this Saturday, Bellator 80 this Friday. And yeah, thank you so much. It has been an amazing fucking 20 podcasts, and like I said at the top of the podcast, we're really looking forward to the next 20. And until number 21, we gone.
We fucking gone.